Welcome to Financial Aid Award Letters, What to Expect. Today we're going to go over where's my award letter, so you may not be able to find it. You might not even know it exists. So let's take a look at where you can find these types of documents. What will be on the award letter? How do I know if it's right? Can I ask for more money for my student? And what are my next steps? So where's my award letter? And nowadays, it's kind of old-fashioned to send out award letters via mail. Only about 30% of colleges nationwide do that nowadays. So just keep that in mind. Most times, they will send an email to the student with access to an online portal that the student can log into and see admissions decisions, as well as financial aid, award letters, or if there's any missing documents for financial aid. Many times they're not going to give you an award letter unless you have filed your free application for federal student aid, and if the college requires it, the CSS profile with the College Board. And even sometimes they'll ask for an additional documentation like verification or W-2s or 1040s. Once all of this is satisfied, you should be able to log in and see your financial aid award letter, or at least a tentative financial aid award letter. So what will be on this financial aid award letter? It could be a variety of things, and it may vary from college to college. Most times it does. And please note that they might call the same types of things by different names. Even more confusing, right? But let's just talk about the basics that could be there. You might have been notified by admissions about scholarships, but they should also be on the award letter. Scholarships, grants, and awards equal free money. Those words are great words when you see them on an award letter, because that means you don't need to pay them back. For the most part, we'll kind of talk about Teach Grant later on. Okay, it's a newer grant, and the name can be deceiving. The federal Pell Grant, if you are Pell eligible, might be on your award letter, as well as a Supplemental Opportunity Grant, which is another federal grant. It might be on some award letters, the CIOG grant, and not others. Just remember that. But if you're Pell eligible, or if you're unsure if you're Pell eligible, later on in the presentation, we'll show you how to determine if that's correct or not. Sometimes you'll see state grants appear on there, and some state grants are portable to other states, some are not. So talk to your higher education department at your state to find out if your state grants are portable. On the financial aid award letter, you could see, or will most likely see, some type of federal Stafford loan. For freshmen, incoming freshmen, it should be at least $5,500. But remember I told you that they could title them in different names? Well, this happens a lot with the federal Stafford loan. As long as you file your FAFSA, regardless of parental income, you will be offered a federal Stafford loan. But it might be broken down into direct student loan, direct unsubsidized student loan, direct subsidized student loan, but the total for the academic year, if you're a first-year student or a freshman coming in, should be $5,500. On some financial aid award letters, we might also see Federal Parent Plus loans there. I call this padding because this is not a loan that you have to take. This is a loan that you could take to bridge the gap of the cost of what's left to pay. So look at that, and then know that you, as a good consumer, you should be shopping around before you decide to take the Federal Parent Plus loan. Federal Perkins loans might be on your award letter. Yes, they have been canceled. They were canceled last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but yet we still see them on financial aid award letters. So I'm not taking out of the presentation until I know for sure it's canceled and we won't see it on award letters this year. It goes to Pell eligible students. It's an additional loan above and beyond the federal Stafford loan. It's high quality, and you can just Google federal Perkins loan. It'll give you all the information about the current rate and fees there are none. for the federal Perkins loan. Work study could be on there as well. Remember, work study is something where you take a job and you receive a paycheck on campus. It generally doesn't go towards paying tuition, so I would just cross that right out of paying the tuition. It'll pay what we call indirect costs. And then you might even see Teach Grant. So Teach Grant is a newer grant. It came out in 2007. It's not administered very well. So there are a handful, I'd say over 150 colleges nationwide that offer the Teach Grant. I will give you a PDF of a list of colleges that offer the Teach Grant. It is in the form of a grant, but if you do not meet certain work criteria, such as working as a teacher in a high need field at a needy school, then it would turn into a federal Stafford loan eventually within 8 years of graduating. So there's a lot of components that go into this so-called free grant. It's a great program if you are going to become a teacher and you need help funding college, but you need to be very careful about the criteria and meet the criteria so it doesn't turn into a loan for you. So how do you know if this award letter is right? Well, first thing, you want to check your FAFSA, your free application for federal student aid that you filled out and it was submitted to your colleges, and make sure that it's accurate. When you look at that FAFSA data, you can print out what's called an SAR report, or you can just look at it online. But you want to see what your expected family contribution is, and that will help you determine if you have need or how much need you have. If your family contribution is 0, then you're more likely and most likely Pell eligible. In the output of the FAFSA, it will give you your expected family contribution and tell you if they estimate that you are Pell eligible and how much. So take a look at that output. If you think they have it wrong, check the chart. I will provide a PDF of the chart, and you can always Google it. Federal Pell Grant chart and the year that you're in, and it will come up. Confirm to see if your school is a Teach Grant school, if your student is going to be taking courses to become a teacher. I will provide that list as well, and there's a couple of websites that you can look at, or just call the financial aid office and say, are you a Teach Grant school, and how do I put this grant in place for my student, or how do I get it on my financial aid award letter because it wasn't there. Teach Grant is probably the biggest offender of not appearing on an award letter when it belongs there. So just keep that in mind. So can I ask for more money? Once I look at everything, I know that it's right, I understand what the cost of attendance is, can I ask for more money? Well, you certainly can. There's ways to do it, and a methodology that we use at our office, and we would first tell you to ask admissions for more merit money. So your student should be doing this, not mom or dad getting involved. They should draft a short little email to their admissions counselor about any new achievements since they've submitted their application, any new awards, maybe improved grades or tests that they've taken, and ask if they could provide more merit aid. Once that is done, then you could move on to the financial aid office. And there is something called an official financial aid appeal. Knowing whether or not to appeal, it takes a little more investigating. So do you meet the regulations? There are federal regulations that guide financial aid offices, and you don't want to be appealing just because you feel like you can't afford it. We all feel like we can't afford it, certainly, but you want to appeal based on federal regulations. So let's take a look at some of those. Do you meet some of the criteria that the financial aid director will be looking for? So let's take a look at what those could be. Medical expenses, which means large deductibles or premiums, large RX expenses that you have, dental, possibly braces or several sets of braces, therapy expenses, it could be PT or counseling or whatever it might be. What does this full medical bill or expenses look like for you for 2016 or 17 or going into 2018? So they want to look at the year that you're in and the year that you're going into. Typically, if it's more than 10% of your adjusted gross income, which you can find on line 37 of your federal taxes, 1040 taxes, then I would suggest that you put a letter together and actually go for an official appeal. Changes in income. Sometimes we are told by our employers that you're no longer going to be up for extra hours. They could reduce the hours that you can work. You could be unemployed. You could be temporarily unemployed because a work outage or something of that nature. So changes in income, up or down, should be something that would belong in an appeal. And I know that it sounds strange for appealing for up, but let's say you're working on a special project and you've been told no longer will you have that extra income this year. It might be substantial, so it's a one-time fluke thing in your career that you had the opportunity to do, but you're no longer going to have this opportunity. You should let the financial aid office know. Legal or funeral expenses many times can qualify as appealable events. And other non-claim dependents, maybe you have elderly parents or somebody else that you might be taking care of in the household and they don't show up on your taxes, then you need to let the financial aid office know about this. Or any other special circumstance, maybe caring for a student that is not on their own, or some other large financial issue that has come up in your family. Let the financial aid office know and determine if they can help you based on the information you give them. You should draft a letter, and this letter should go to the Director of Financial Aid because they're the ones with the professional judgment given to them by the Department of Ed to change your expected family contribution and hence your financial aid award letter. List your primary reasons that meet federal regulations that we spoke about. Provide documentation if possible. So when it comes to medical expenses, you can go to your local pharmacy, get a readout for the last year and the year to come, co-pays from doctors or therapy visits, your flex spending account, you can print that out, things of that nature. Also, the college might require you to complete verification forms. So you can just simply Google the name of the college, verification forms, and the year that you're in, and see if they have the forms up there already. Helping them do their homework ahead of time makes them more likely to adjust the appeal for you. And then you would just simply wait for the response. Next comes accepting your college or accepting a college. So deciding by May 1st is typically the deadline for most colleges. Look out on the acceptance notifications. Some schools, very rare, it might be April 15th or something of that nature. But typically, most of your colleges are going to want to know if you're accepting or declining them by May 1st. So what you should appeal as early as you can to get some responses before you have to commit by May 1st. And then you can look at the net out-of-pocket cost and say, how am I going to decide to fund, or how my family is going to fund the net out-of-pocket costs that are left? And how can we prepare? So preparing means attending scholarship and funding webinars or seminars that might be at your local school or library, or some that you can access online, visiting guidance and asking them about scholarships, visiting your local state loan authority's website and see what they have for loans, scholarships, and advice on funding, or if they are having a local seminar. You might want to look into that because that's a great resource typically. And then doing your own due diligence and doing your own research. At College Advisors NE, each year we look at what's on the national marketplace as far as loans, and we list loans that we like. And we also like to talk about what we're looking for in a high quality loan. So we look for low rates, of course, a variety of terms because every family is different. We think cosigner release options are important for families, especially with multiple children coming behind the first child. Death and disability clauses for the borrower as well as the cosigner. We like to look for loan products that have LIBOR rates versus prime rates because usually those are more volatile. A variety of repayment options. So many new loans now offer you the ability to do immediate repayment, defer until 6 months after graduation, or pay a set amount each month, like the interest, or sometimes it could be $25 a month. We really like the idea of paying $25 a month because it reminds the whole family that there's still a loan there waiting for you when you graduate. And many times if we just defer it until 6 months after graduation, we all forget about that. We want to look for rewards too because many lenders offer some great rewards, such as setting up auto debit payments. They might give you a 0.25% interest rate reduction, or graduation rewards. Once you graduate, a 2% or 3% principal balance reduction. Once you prove that the student has graduated. No fees. So we want to look at loans with no fees because the fees really add up on the cost if you look at it over time. No prepayment penalty. Most do not have these, but you want to be aware that they could be out there. So we like to do our due diligence each year. You should as well. You can take a look at our research right at collegeadvisorsne.com/loans. And we would encourage you to do your own research as well. So we hope that this has helped you. Please use the downloadables below the video, and we wish you much success with your college plans.